English students. So I have prepared another type of material for you. This time is going to be not only pure listening comprehension assignments, but something related to writing task one, which is very similar to what usually IELTS takers have to deal with when they deal with graph description assignments. So let me just show you what I mean to say. I have prepared some material for you. Yeah, here it is. Well, as you see, there are a lot of visuals which I have prepared. You can see them being shown on the screen of my computer. Well, first of all, traditionally, let's start from the listening comprehension assignment, okay? So get ready to write down the numbers you hear. Well, it's a kind of number dictation. You've already done it before and you know what I'm supposed to do. I strongly recommend that you look down at your notebooks in order to fully concentrate on what you hear. So I guess that you're ready. When I say on three, you should start. Okay? 1, 2, 3. 17, 230, 343, 50, 280, 19,000, 6,000, 13,000, 13, 6,316, 70, 213, 333, 15, 218, 90,000, 60,000, 30,000, 30, 6,360. Yeah, you might have noticed that this time I was dictating the numbers a bit faster than before, but there is a reason to do that because this is not your first attempt to be writing down the numbers you hear. So the greater the pace of the dictation, so the more challenging it is to jot down the numbers you hear. But believe me or not, but in a real IELTS examination or anything like that, you will have even shorter time to write down the specific information you hear. So let me write down the numbers you have heard, and you will have an opportunity to compare your writing with the answers. Hold on a second, please. So 17, then 230, okay, 343, 50, then 280, then 19,000, then 6,000, then 13,000, then 13, then 6,316, then 70, then 213, then 333, then 15, then 218, then 90,000, then 60,000, then 30,000, then just 30, 6,360. These are the numbers I dictated. So you can compare your writing. Well, I hope that you have made few mistakes. I really do hope. Okay. So you have had enough time to compare answers with the answers. What is it, please? I just need some space for further writing. Okay. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's taking some time, but I'm trying to do it as fast as possible. Thank you. Now, I want to draw attention to this assignment, this table. It consists of two columns. In the left one, there are the number. I'm sorry, there are names of some countries, European countries mainly. And in the right one, there are some blanks which are supposed to fill in with the numbers you will hear. Let's take a look at the title of the table. Individual country population as percentage of the total European Union population in 2001. Okay, you understand that it's going to be kind of specific information writing down assignment. So concentrate fully on the assignment itself, please. Okay, so hold a second, please. Hold a second. Yeah, okay, I've got it. Mhm. Just a few seconds. Just a few seconds. Yeah, okay. So when, as usual, when I say three, you should get ready, please. 1, 2, oh, I'm afraid. Hold on, please. Yeah, again, it's me. It's my fault. I know that. Okay, okay, okay. It's not that easy, you know. Mhm. So yes, I'm ready. 1, 2, 3. In 2001, the population of Belgium was 2.9% of the total European Union, and the Germany's was 22.9%. France had a France had a lower population of 16.3%, and Ireland's was quite small, only 1%. Britain's population was similar to that of France, 16.7%. So you can use only one attempt to get the right answers. So what we heard is the following: Belgium. The right answer is 2.9%. So as for Germany, it is 22.9%. 22.9%. As for France, it is 16.7%. As for Ireland, it is only 1%. Britain, oh, I'm sorry. France is 16.3%. Yeah, that's my fault. 16.3, and Britain's is 16.7%. Yeah, that's it. These are the right answers. Okay. So the next listening assignment is about technical description of a motor. Okay. So take a look at the table below. You will have to complete the table using the numbers you hear. We'll take a look at each item, which actually makes the table. The rate of motor, power consumption, efficiency rate, price, annual depreciation, and hire charge. So these are the things you're supposed to answer about. So listen carefully. Listen carefully. I'm going to start right now. Yeah, okay. 1, 2, 3. Although this motor rotates only 43 rpm, it's an extremely efficient machine which consumes only 35 kilowatts per hour, giving it an input efficiency rate of 1 to 9. At 99.5 pounds, it's a very good bargain, especially as its depreciation has been calculated at only 8% per year. It can of course be hired, but this is rather expensive, £27 a month. Thank you. So let's write down the answers so that you can compare yours with the right ones. So 43 revs per minute. As for the power consumption rate, it is 35 kilowatts per hour. Efficiency rate is 1 to 9. The price is £99.5. Annual depreciation stands at 8%, and hire charge is £27 per month. These are the right answers. These are the right answers. Okay. So that has been kind of warm-up section, and now we proceed to more challenging parts of today's class. Well, sooner or later, some of you will start running their own business, right? And in business negotiations, or maybe when contacting managers of some companies you deal with, you will have to discuss some information related to your business. And that goes without saying that now and then you will have to refer to some numbers, digit information, in the form of tables, for example. Usually it's not that easy to describe a table containing some important information effectively. If you want to do it effectively, it's not that easy to do, believe me. Because a table form of information isn't the best one in terms of letting recipients to understand what I mean to say, right? However, it is widespread, and regardless you want it or not, but you are supposed to be able to do that, okay? So how to deal with a table description if you want to do it effectively? Well, first of all, you should understand the structure of the table. If we take a look at the third table, we will see that so it has got two columns. In the first column, we see some countries, again, European ones. And in the right one, we see some numbers. Actually, these numbers mean the number of residents living in the countries shown on the table. Living, I better say, haven't lived in 1991. Okay, so and we should somehow, and now I'm going to use the keyword. We should somehow organize the data in order to convey the main message correctly, okay? Correctly and in a comprehensible way, so that the recipient understands you perfectly well what you meant to say. Well, how to do that? In this particular case, we can apply the approach which is known max-mean. At least I call it this way, max-mean. In the beginning, I would like to offer that we pay no attention to the total number which stands here in this cell of the column. For the time being, it's not that important for us. What I offer is that we concentrate mainly on these four numbers. Let's identify the max and the mean. So the largest values are for France here, max, and Italy here, So we've got two largest numbers, which are about France and Italy, right? And we can see the obvious, uh, I would say, outsider. It is Ireland, whereas Greece occupies kind of intermediate position, right? Okay, so we've got two obvious leaders in terms of population number, France and Italy. Moreover, we should also take into consideration that these two numbers are nearly equal to each other, and we will have to underline it. And as for this one, we also should say that this is the lowest number. We can't say nothing about Greece. In other words, I mean to say that we should mention Greece. So we will, but it's not going to be the strongest part of our table description. And finally, at the end of our table and description procedure, we will refer to this number, which shows which means the total number of European residents that year. Okay, now we understand that regardless whether it's going to be the written form or oral speech pattern, we should organize our answer in the form of micro essay. What does it mean? It means that it should have a kind of clear structure. By this, I mean that we should say what the table shows, and then only should we proceed to what I've just said to you. The leaders, the outsider, and the intermediate position country. Okay, and the final point of our description of the table will be telling us the total number of European residents having resided in that part of the world in 1991. Okay, so well, it's not that difficult to do. It's not because I have chosen a very easy visual to describe, just because I can see the logic. So should you. Or regard whatever type of visual has been given to you for your consideration, you should understand what is the message behind the visual, because they can't be meaningless, they can't be pointless. In any kind of visual, you should see the logic, okay, the message. If you can't do that, so you'd better not even start to command in a visual, really. So what can we say? We say like this. The table compares the population figures registered in some European countries and in Europe overall in 1991. As can be seen from the data shown, in terms of the number of residents, the obvious outsider is Ireland, whose figure stood at roughly 3.5 million people. Also, it is clear that both France and Italy appear to have been densely populated, much more than the other countries represented in the visual. Thus, their population indexes were just over 55 million. As for Greece, its population was equal to just over 10 million. Finally, one can say that the European population rate amounted to just under half a billion. So let's go through my description sentence by sentence. The first sentence of my description is the following. The table compares the population figures registered in some European countries and in Europe overall in 1991. This sentence is opening. In other words, it tells the recipient what it is mainly about, what it shows. I don't go into detail saying which countries are shown in the table. It doesn't matter because I will mention them in the main part of my description. Okay. Then also I say that there was a time reference and I showed in the sentence saying that it is relevant to 1991. Okay. Then I start grouping the information. So grouping is the key word which you should take as the foundation, logical foundation for any type of such work. You see, grouping. I've just grouped uh, Italy and France. I put the two into one group of the leaders because I see that their numbers are the largest in comparison with the others. Moreover, they're very close to one another, and that's why I have united them into one group. I have put them into one group, and I didn't uh, particularize each of them either. On the contrary, I said that uh, each of the two is in the vicinity of, how did I say, 55 million people, right? 55 million people, just over 55 million people, because 55, if we round off this number, it's about 56 million, right? Here is 57, roughly. That's why I said that it is just over 55 million each. This is the expression you must know. Just over, just over. Just over is used when you say that the actual value is a bit more than another one. With the same success, we use the expression just under when a particular value you are referring to is a bit smaller than the other one. Okay. So again, as can be seen from the data shown, in terms of the number of residents, the obvious outsider is Ireland, whose figure stood at roughly 3.5 million people. So the group of includes two states. It's France and Italy, right? The group of minimum includes only one state. It is Ireland. Well, and the intermediate position is about Greece. Greece is intermediate position. Okay. Well, this is the logical foundation on which I put my description of the table given. Well, also I use some particular vocabulary units which are absolutely important when we refer to some digit data. So one of the verbs is stand at, and then we say the value. For example, I can say in 1991, the population of Greece stood at just over a bit more, just over 10 million people. It's okay. Or the number of French residents living in the country that year stood at roughly 56 million people. Okay. Then I also used another expression with the same meaning. For example, we can use the verb account for. We can say that in 1991, the total number of European population accounted for, and we say that number. By the way, it's very important to be able to round off the numbers, not saying the exact number itself. So, for example, in this particular case, I said 500 million, right? 500 million, because it's about 500 million, right? So that's why I said 500 million. Another verb with the same meaning is amount to, and we also give a number, okay? Also, we can say equal, but remember that we never use to after the verb equal and a number, okay? Number. Also, we can use a similar expression, but not identical, to be equal. And in this case, equal is an adjective. And in this case, we use to. Whereas here, it's a verb, to equal, okay? So these are the main verbs we use when we refer to particular digit digit information. Well, also I want to say that we never add s to the verb millions if we say the exact number of millions. For example, we say 5 million, but we never say 5 millions. It's incorrect to say like this. Absolutely. Well, okay. I will read out the the description of the table. Maybe some of you may think that I'm reading out a ready description of the table given. No, it is me who wrote down the description of the table. Perhaps because of that reason, it's not maybe, let's say, ideal. Well, but it's mine, and this is my vision how it should be done. Okay, you may disagree with my position. You may disagree with my way of thinking. It's up to you, and you've got the right to do that. Anyway, I just want to read out the description of this table again. But before I start doing that, I would like to draw attention to the uh, logical approach we should use doing that. Again, there are some countries shown in the table. Also, we can see some values in front of each of the countries given, right? And it would be stupid to count and to mention each of the countries one by one. For example, if they were, say, 10 countries or 20 countries, so that would be just useless and stupid, really. In order to organize your work correctly and logically, we should group the information. And one of the best ways of grouping information is to put some items of the table into the subgroup of maximum and others to put into the subgroup of minimum. If possible, we can organize the third group, which is intermediate. Okay. If we take a closer look at this data, the values given in the second column of the table, we can see that there are two obvious leaders, France and Italy. Moreover, why are the two leaders? Because their values are very close to each other and they are the largest. In order to unite the two, I'm not going to specify each of them one by one. No, I can see that both of them are higher or more than 55 million, and this is what I'm going to mention in my description. Also, I can see that the obvious outsider with the minimum number of residents is Ireland. See, 3.5 million. And I'm not going to say 3,522,000. What for? I will round off the numbers and it's much better to do. That will save time at least. However, we have an intermediate position. Country is Greece with its nearly 10 million residents. Um, so regardless we wanted to do or not, but we will have to mention Greece as well in our description. And only finally, I will refer to the total number of European residents given the table, though it's given the first. So again, back to the description. The table compares the population figures registered in some European countries and in Europe overall in 1991. As can be seen from the data shown, in terms of the number of residents, the obvious outsider is Ireland, whose figure stood at roughly 3.5 million people. Of course, I could have said who stood at just over 3.5 million people. That would be all right too. It would have been all right too. Okay, and a few words about the use of the word whose. I know that many people believe that we can use the word whose only for people. Absolute shit. Well, we can use whose universally. Also, it is clear that both France and Italy appear to have been densely populated much more than the other countries represented in the visual. Thus, their population indexes were equal to just over 55 million. Again, I didn't say 55 million 972,000 for France and blah 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 for Italy. No. Uh, Whenever it is possible, you should generalize information, but not particularize. As for Greece, its population was equal to just over 10 million, holding an intermediate position. Yeah. Finally, European population rate amounted to just under half a billion in 1991. Okay, so that was the very brief um, table description strategy you can apply when dealing with such types of assignments. Some of you sooner or later will make up their minds to take the IELTS examination, and you are likely to be given such an assignment. Okay. Now, I have prepared another type of assignment for your consideration. You can see some line graphs. I wouldn't say multi-line graphs. One, two, three, four, five multi-line graphs, which are very, very important. You know why? In order to develop your logical thinking. Yes, because no logic, no, I would say no, oops, please. Uh, no development maybe. Please. Okay. You know, some people often ask me, how can we do anything in order to uh, master our speaking skills and the other skills? I say practice. So there is a good English saying, practice makes perfect, and it's not groundless. Yeah, if you believe it, I have always been able to speak English like this, though I don't think that I can speak English pretty well, really. So you're wrong thinking that way, because it took me a while to start speaking like this, and still I'm working on it. There is no other way. Okay, thank you. Now this is A, graph A, this is graph B, this is visual C, it's D, and it's E, okay? So, line graphs. Many people say that they are happy um, whenever they have to deal with line graph description, because traditionally they are considered to be the easiest to deal with. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't jump to conclusions, because if you start describing each line in detail one by one, you will never get a high band score for such a stupidity. I will tell you why, because an examiner wants to see, to make sure that you can think effectively, that you can see the logic of the visual offered for your consideration. And unless you can make kind of a logical grouping, you will never stand a chance to be the winner in the battle with the examiner. Absolutely. So these assignments, I usually offer these assignments to my students to be done orally. Yes, to be done orally. As you are making your first steps towards that, so let's do it orally too, but in a slower pace. Again, let's concentrate on the first multiple line graph. There are three lines, so they show dependence of something upon something else, upon a factor or argument. Okay, Well, what can we say? We should work out a plan, which should be the logical foundation of your either writing a written description or over description of the whole graph. First of all, we should group, right? Remember that the first thing you should pick up is grouping or your ability to group some information. We see that lines 2 and 3 have one something in common. It is that both of them go up. For that reason, we will say that. So for A, we can write down that 2 and 3 both go up, right? Whereas line 1, despite some ups and downs, goes down because its overall trend to be going down, whereas the overall trend of lines 2 and 3 is opposite, right? Yes, some people want to mention this point of intersection and this point of intersection, though they don't play a vital role in the description. Remember, generalization, yes, particularization, not a good way. Again, in this particular case, we unite lines 2 and 3 into one group because they share one common feature. They both go up, whereas line 1, unlike the other two ones, goes down. And this is the logical foundation for our description of the line. We can say that throughout the whole period, uh, uh, so line 1 went down considerably, while lines 2 and 3 rose substantially. Okay. Now let's take a look at B. Let's see the logic of this one. Be very careful. As usual, don't jump to conclusions. We should see something in common, not missing a single detail. What I can see is that we can unite, we can put lines 2, 3, and 4 into one group because either of the three lines goes up throughout the whole period specified above, right? Above, I mean in the introduction. While line 1, the black one, so 1 has some periods of going down, then recovery, and then even laying off, right? When its value doesn't change very much. Uh, all these details are not that important because there are many lines, okay? But what we should see, and it is so obvious that many people can't get it. 1 was always greater than either of the mentioned above. At any time, at any moment of the time, okay, a little bit time, at any moment, the value of the black line was always higher than that of the other three ones, either of the three ones. For that reason, we should include this idea into our logical description of the graph. If you don't do that, you will lose your marks because by not uh, pointing out that importance, you will show the examiner that you can't see the logic. Now let's take a look at C, at Visual C. We can follow the logic which we applied in B, in case B. We can see that, so for C, we can see that throughout the whole period, 1 was the maximum, right? It was, we can write it here, so 1 is maximum, right? So 1, the green line was always higher than the other two ones, whereas line number 3, the red one, was always minimum, right? And 2 was occupying the intermediate position. Okay, and also we can say that unlike 1 and 3, with more or less steady changes of behavior with time, two the second line changed more drastically, I would say, more chaotically, with some ups and downs, right? Some ups and downs. Well, unlike the first and the third one, we also should include this into our description. So you see, I'm not telling you the exact description of these visuals. I'm just giving you the main ideas which you should incorporate into your plan, okay, or outline, not to forget to write about it in your writing or in your oral description. Okay, let's take a look at D. So case D. Uh, there is one idea which has been camouflaged here, but I hope that you have enough elementary geometric perception of the world around us. Um, if we compare the behavior of the blue line with that of the red line, we will see that they are not identical, but they are, I would say, opposite. What I mean by this? When the blue one rises, the red one goes down. When it falls, the red one rises. Okay, the same as here. What I want to say is that um, they change in the oppositely. Okay, we can write it down here. So D. So 1 and 3 change in opposite directions. Okay, you can find some perhaps more appropriate words and word combinations, but this is only the idea which you should incorporate into your writing or oral description. As for the green line, well, we can go into detail describing its behavior, arising, then okay, very small changing, then again recovery, etc. But as for this one and this one, they're the red and the blue one, so we should somehow underline the importance that their changes are opposite. Okay, now let's proceed to the last one. It's E. Okay, it's E. What can we see here? We can see another interesting situation here, that line 1, the green one, and the red line, which is number 2, have much in common. They change simultaneously and perhaps identically. They rise at the same time, reaching a peak at the same time. They start to fall at different rates, yes, but anyway, simultaneously. And then they start changing their behavior at the end, right, in the final period of time. You see, we can write that line 1 and line 2 change simultaneously and alike. As for the third line, it's not that easy to do, because we should underline the important thing about it too, that it has always been the least in comparison with the first and the second line, right? It is the minimum. Yes, we can say that it was fluctuating throughout the whole period, but despite of some fluctuations, not great ones by the way, anyway, so its value was the least. So these are the ideas we should incorporate into your writing. So that's been your first understanding how to deal with such kind of visuals, okay, oral description, etc. this is not the end. I hope that, and a bit later, I will give you some other examples, more realistic, so that you can practice your oral description of line graphs. Uh, and I believe that a bit later you will be so great that you can describe even table description and other types of descriptions. Um, I mean visuals. I'm sorry, orally. Well, again, let's draw the line. So in today's video, we used such expressions as just over, just under, okay? Then stand at, account for, amount to be equal to. We use these verbs when we want to refer to a particular value of a function, for example, or a parameter, okay? Also, in today's video, we try to work out the logical foundation of the graphs given in the show, so shown in the graphs, line graphs, okay? Uh, Again, I want to say that it is stupid to describe each of the lines uh, one by one. Of course, no. First of all, you won't have such time to do that. You will run out of time allocated. And secondly, logically, it's not a good way to do, because by doing this, you will show the examiner that you can't put 2 plus 2. Can't put 2 into, I'm sorry. Well, you should see how we can group the information. For example, even in the table visual, we had to group the information using the principle of maximum minimum. Here, we used another principle of grouping. Um, the principle of behaving alike. The two rise, so we put them together. Okay. The three rise, so we put them together. Also, we should take into consideration the idea of maximum value and the minimum value as well. Maximum, minimum. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. I do hope that my description um, has helped you to understand it a bit better. Well, thank you very much. Uh, See you later, alligator. And the continuation is in a while, crocodile. Bye.